The last train home. Clara shivered on the desolate platform of Alderidge Station, the cold gnawing at her skin. It was late, 11:47 p.m. The train was uncharacteristically delayed, and she was alone, save for a faint figure lingering at the platform's far end. The flickering lights above cast unsettling shadows, and Clara's phone displayed a mocking "no signal." She glanced at the figure again. Something about its stillness set her nerves on edge. Taking a cautious step toward the waiting room, she called out, "Hey, do you know when the train's coming?" The figure stirred. Its voice, low and guttural, sent a chill through her. "It's already here." Clara blinked. "What?" She turned back to the tracks, empty, still. When she glanced back, the figure was gone. A distant rumble shattered the silence. Emerging from the fog, a train screeched to a halt, its carriages ancient, their paint cracked and peeling. Clara hesitated. Everything screamed at her to turn back, but she needed to get home. The train doors slid open with a metallic hiss. The interior, dimly lit and eerily silent, was devoid of passengers. As she stepped in, the doors slammed shut behind her, sealing her fate. The train jerked forward with unnatural speed, throwing Clara into a seat. She gasped at what she saw, names carved into the fabric of every seat. Hundreds of names, each engraved with unnerving precision. Her pulse quickened as her eyes darted across the rows. Then she found it. Clara Mitchell. Her own name stared back at her. She stumbled backward, her breath catching in her throat. The lights flickered wildly, casting distorted shadows on the walls. "All passengers, please remain seated. Final stop approaching," a disembodied voice announced over the crackling intercom. Clara bolted for the door. She yanked at the handle, but it wouldn't budge. The windows, which had once shown the quiet countryside, now reflected only swirling blackness. Her reflection, too, began to warp, a hollow-eyed version of herself, grinning menacingly. "Let me out!" she screamed, pounding on the glass. The train slowed, but not for safety. Clara turned to find the once empty seats now filled with shadowy figures. They were barely human, motionless, their faces obscured by darkness. "Who are you?" she demanded, her voice trembling. One figure tilted its head unnaturally, revealing a face with no eyes. "Passengers," it rasped, "just like you." The train groaned and screeched as it sped faster into oblivion. Clara darted through the aisles, desperate to escape the encroaching figures. "Stay," they whispered in unison, their voices a haunting echo. "This is your stop." Clara's legs burned as she reached the final car. Her fingers fumbled with the emergency door latch, adrenaline surging through her veins. Behind her, the figures grew louder, closer, their whispers merging into a single, deafening roar. Finally, the door gave way, and Clara jumped. She hit the ground hard, rolling onto a freezing plain. Gasping, she looked around. No lights, no roads, just an endless void. The train roared past, disappearing into the darkness. Clara staggered to her feet, her breath visible in the frigid air. She wasn't safe yet. A familiar sound made her freeze. Footsteps. Slowly, she turned. The shadowy figure from the platform was there, standing unnervingly close. Its smile was hollow, its eyes reflecting the void around them. "You can't run from your destination," it whispered. Before she could scream, the ground beneath her gave way, pulling her into an endless abyss. The next morning, a headline flashed on the news. "Woman found dead on Alderidge tracks. No train scheduled for the night." But the train always arrived, for those who couldn't escape their final stop.